going over the basics of just a basic overview of the KTS Data Exchange for those of y'all who are newer. I'm just going to kind of skirt over it just a little bit, including how to decode the high school course codes, because that's very important in making sure that it's a communication issue if you don't communicate the correct course codes to your high schools. Okay, and then I'm also going to cover proper course setup, because that's important. If you don't have your courses set up correctly, you're not going to have a successful sync of your courses, of your course masters. So we're going to be covering that just a little bit, and then the new year scheduling processes as it pertains to technical schools and as it pertains to high schools. Okay, if you have any questions during the presentation, just unmute yourself and holler at me, okay? I still got people coming in, so I gotta stop I hate this, I'm sorry, because I don't have anybody helping me, but whenever somebody comes in, I have to kind of stop and go over and make sure that they're in and muted.
Hey,
oh, I'm sorry, somebody was asking me a question and I muted you. Unmute yourself.
Hey, Tawny, this is Larry. Do you want me to admit people for you? I don't care to help you.
Yes, thank you, Larry.
I'll do it. Okay.
Appreciate it. Okay. All right, here we go. So, the importance of course codes. They're actually, just to kind of help you understand a little bit better, whenever the KTS Data Exchange begins, it begins on the technical school side when the technical school creates a course and adds their sections. That section that the technical school creates turns into its own independent course master when it syncs with the KTS Data Exchange. And that course master, during the KTS Data Exchange process, syncs to the high school catalog. In the high school database, and that is what the high schools use to connect with our courses for and to allow the student information to sync with the KTS Data Exchange. So it's important to make sure that the high schools are using the correct course masters, and in order to do that, I found several years ago that it's easier to have the technical schools decipher those 13-digit course codes for their high school people and provide that information to them. That way, there's the guesswork is taken out for the high school side. By doing this, it has eliminated, like I said, the guesswork, and has eliminated a lot of issues that we had when we first started the KTS Data Exchange. So it might take just a little bit of time for the technical school principals to do this for you, but that little bit of time that it takes is valuable, because it prevents syncing issues down the road. Okay, so whenever the course master syncs over to the high school, it syncs over as a 13-digit course code number. It has a prefix and some suffixes that uniquely identify the course. Every 13-digit course master is a unique number. Okay, the breakdown of that course number. The first 2 digits of that is going to be the tech school ID number. If you don't know what your tech school ID number is, you can go to the KTS Data Exchange webpage. Sorry. And here we go. You can go to the KTS Data Exchange webpage, and on the right-hand side, as soon as it comes up, Here we go. On the right-hand side, under System Administrator Setup, there's a document titled KTS Technical School ID Numbers. If you click on that, excuse me, it's going to give you a list of all of the technical schools that work with the KTS Data Exchange, except for Estill. I don't have Estill listed on here yet, but I'm working on that. So, for example, if you are a high school and you send students to Boone County ATC, Boone County's Tech ID number would be 03. And so this is how you know what the Tech ID number is of the courses that you need to look for. If Boone County High School pulled in a course that started with 02, they'd be pulling in a Bell County ATC course. So you got to be careful and make sure that you're only using the course masters that have the first 2 digits associated with your technical school. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. So the second segment of those numbers, or of that 13-digit code, is the 6-digit state course code. Now this is important, especially for technical school principals and staff that pull these courses in on your side. You have to make sure that you only use courses that are in our program of studies document. So you got to make sure for the coming school year, whenever you schedule, you reference the 22-23 programs of study documentation to ensure that those courses are actually valid and have not been deprecated. And this is because if you roll forward courses and you use a course that's been deprecated, there's going to be some major cleanup that's going to have to be done after school starts. So the programs of studies document is actually located on the KDE website. So you can get to it by clicking on Career and Technical Education, and then you would go to Program Areas, and then Programs of Study. I believe this is where you'll go. And here we go. Yes, down the middle of the screen, you see 2022-23 programs of study. So you want to make sure that you reference this document when you're creating your master schedule of technical schools, because you only want to pull the courses that are valid for this school year out of this document. Okay. Going back to the KTS Data Exchange webpage. All right, so segment 3 of that 13-digit course is a course indicator, and basically what that course indicator does is it helps to offer variability for the technical schools while making the course unique. Having the option of allowing the technical schools to use either P courses or X courses offers them more variability in their scheduling, and at the same time maintains that uniqueness of that course number. The 4th segment is going to be the technical school period location. So whenever the technical school sets up the section schedule location and they check the boxes where that course actually meets on their schedule, that's what's going to pop up in that 4th segment there. It's a 2-digit number. Sometimes it has letters depending on the specific technical school's period schedule that they have authorized, and so it's just a 2-digit number that cannot be modified. It's referenced by whatever is that technical school's period schedule is and where that section has been placed. The fifth segment is an arbitrary 2-digit number that defines that section, actual individual section that the technical school is creating, and it's numbers only. One thing that to say about that is it can only be 2 digits, but it will allow you to put up to 4 in there, technical schools. And if you put more than 2 digits in there, it's going to give you an error message. If you're on the technical school side, it's going to give you an error message that's going to populate. And I'm going to go ahead and log in to the KTS Data Exchange webpage to kind of show you what area that it will log into. Hang on. I guess because there's a lot of people here today, I've got some lagging issues. So I'm sorry about that. Okay. Okay, so if you're a technical school and you logged into your Infinite Campus, in the middle of the screen here, whenever it pops up, you're going to see your process alert area. And, well, here we go. This is where you're going to see project KTS project error messages, project stats, and updates for the individual schools. Okay, but if you have an error for your specific technical school, it'll say KTS project error, and then it'll list the name of your school. If you enter more than 2 digits for that section number, it's going to tell you that you've done that. It's not going to allow that section to populate for the KTS Data Exchange as a course master. So just so you're aware of that, you need to make sure that just be mindful, only 2 digits in that technical school section number box for technical schools. Okay, so a 13-digit course code broken down again looks like this. 2 digits for the Tech ID number, 6 digits for the state course code. You got your course indicator, you've got your period location, and then you've got your section number. And then here's another view of that. You've got your Tech ID number as the first 2 digits, your state course code, your course indicator, the period location, and then the section placement number, the section number. Okay, questions about the course codes. So I'm going to show you really quickly, if you are a technical school principal, how to decipher that course code. And this is just the easiest way that I've been able to figure it out. So I'm just gonna pull up a course. I'm not sure. Just pull up any course. Principles of Health Science. Okay, so I've got Principles of Health Science. I'm gonna click on the course. I'm gonna go to the Sections tab. And that's going to pull up all of the sections that are associated with this particular course in your school. So in order to decipher that 13-digit code, first of all, you're going to need your Tech ID number. So For Boone County, that's going to be 03. So let me go ahead and pull this up just so you can see me deciphering it real quick. Okay, so for both sections, there is going to be the tech ID number is going to be 03, and that's really little. So let me make it bigger. Okay, so that's what I've got so far. The second group is the state course code, if you remember. And so the state course code in this case is 170111. So I'm going to go ahead and get that in there. So far, the numbers look alike. Now we're going to look at the period, or actually we've got the course indicator is what's next. So if the course in the technical school side, if the course is just a number, then you know there's going to be a P course as the course indicator. That's what it defaults to. But sometimes you'll see courses that have an X at the end of them. In this particular school, I don't think we have any. But if we were to go to another school, you would see, you might see 170111X. And in that case, that's when you know that the course indicator is actually an X. But in this case, it defaults to P. All right, and so now the next group of numbers is going to be your period location. For this first section, it's in period 1. So I'm going to make sure I put a 0 in front of that because remember, it's 2 digits. So 01. And then the period location for this second section that we're looking at is 03. So you see right now that now the numbers are starting to become unique. And then the last 2 numbers are going to be the section number. So with this first section, that's going to be 01. You always have that leading 0 if there's only one number. And then for the second section is 02. So whenever you are a technical school and you are deciphering this code for your high school people, this is how you would do it, and this is the easiest way that I've found. If you found another easier way and you're doing it and it's working out okay, go ahead. But this is how you would decipher these codes for your high school people, because I just want to make sure that the high schools understand this. The technical schools do not see your 13-digit course codes in their database. This is what they see in the technical school side, okay? So they're deciphering these codes for you to make your all's life easier when you're pulling these courses in. So just to get an idea and an understanding of each other, you all do see things in a slightly different way in each database. Questions about how to decipher these 13-digit course codes? Okay, good. All right, so going back and continuing on, there is a course code exercise that I sent out to everybody in that in that email. You can feel free to do that course code exercise if you want to kind of brush up on your deciphering skills. So what does the technical school do when it comes to schedule prep? So first of all, just like I said a second ago, the technical schools initiate the KTS Data Exchange when they create the course and the section in their database. So that's how you start that process. You will reference the KTS Course Setup Guide for Technical Schools, and that is actually located on the KTS Data Exchange webpage. For those of you all who do not know how to get here, which you should at this point, but if you don't, you can go to the KDE website, and then in the top right-hand corner where you see the search box, you can type in KTS Data Exchange, and the top result that you get from that, you can click on that. And then I would save that to your favorites so you have it. Bookmark it, whatever you need to do. But I'm going to go ahead and also put that link, direct link in the chat box as well. And that's the direct link to the KTS Data Exchange webpage, because this is where all of the setup documents are. This is where you're going to see a lot of training information and things like that. So you're going to want to get back to here. But if you're setting up brand new courses and maybe you haven't done it in a long time, you want to reference this KTS Course Setup Guide for Technical Schools. I have another one here, KTS Course Setup Guide for High Schools as well. You want to reference this document because it's going to take you step by step of what you need to do. And it's important not to deviate from those steps in the guide, because if you do, you're taking a chance on setting things up incorrectly and having syncing issues. So it's always good to just have that handy for you while you're doing it. So step one, if you're using a new course, you're going to load the new course in from the correct catalog. So if you're a technical school, I am the one that maintains your catalog, and I will be sure to switch your catalog for you. You don't have to worry about that. You would just go to you would go to scheduling, add course to pull a course in. So if you're an Infinite Campus, you'll go to your index, scheduling, add course. And then when you do that, it's going to take you to the catalog that I've already have you designated to, and you're going to be able to pull in your courses. If you're using rolled forward courses, if you decide to roll your courses forward, you'll just reuse the courses that are there whenever you do a search for course section. But if you roll courses forward, it's important to verify that the courses are still on the new program of studies document and they haven't been deprecated. So you can very well roll your courses forward, but let's say, I don't know, let's just say emergency procedures gets deprecated for the next school year. I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying, you know, as an example. And then you've rolled your courses forward and you're using it, then you're going to have a lot of cleanup issues that you're going to have to deal with. It's a very, it's very complicated to fix it later on after kids are already synced and you've got grades involved and attendance involved and everything. So save yourself a lot of time. For those who have cleaned that up before, I'm sure they will tell you to don't do this, to make sure that you that those courses are actually valid courses that you're using. You're going to set up your sections and include your section number and your, and your section schedule placement. And you're going to add your primary teacher to each section through the staff history tab. So this is not something that has to be done in order for the courses to sync with the KTS Data Exchange, but you don't forget it, because if you don't add your teacher as the primary teacher to the staff history tab, then your teacher won't be able to see the courses when they log into their Infinite Campus instruction module. So another thing that does not have to be done in order for the courses to sync is setting up the grading task and the grade calc options. However, if you decide to do that later, don't forget to do it. Make yourself a note. Don't forget to do it before school starts, because if you don't, then your teachers aren't going to be able to set up their grade books and post grades and things such as that. And two, the posted grade is not going to be able to sync to the high school. So just make yourself notes that setting up the grading task and the grade calc options tab on your technical school side is something that needs to be done before school starts. And then one big thing is once you finish creating your master schedule, please provide a final master schedule to your feeder home high schools that include the 13-digit course codes. So I'm going to pull up one for you real quick. This is something that I sent to you guys in an email. If you're a technical school, you should have a template of some sort. It doesn't have to specifically be these templates, but these are just examples that I've had that people have shared with me earlier on. And so these are just examples of what you would share with your high school. So in this example right here, we've got this schedule broken down by semesters. And then we have the periods on the left-hand side. So in this particular example school, it has 4 blocks. And then then they have each program area listed that meets during whatever block that they meet. And then they have the 13-digit course code listed there under that designation for that section, excuse me. They also went ahead and offered the credit value. Sometimes you can do that if you want to, just to kind of let the high school know how much credit you're awarding for that particular section. It might be helpful. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. But like I said, I emailed this example to you guys. And then we have another example, courtesy of Laura Williams. This one is more colorful. And I don't even know if Laura still uses this one or not, but this one is also broken down into semester. On the left-hand side, you've got your program areas, and it's blocked out as well. So you'll see that each course has the 13-digit course code, and then in the parentheses, you've got your credit value listed there. So these are just examples. Like I said, you don't have to use these particular templates, but this is an example of a good template that has the information that's needed for your high schools. High schools, if you don't receive a template or a master schedule from your technical school, ask them for it. All right. So that's talking about master schedules. Now we're going to talk about what your role is when it comes to scheduling. High schools, you're going to have to allow your technical schools time for them to create their master schedules for the new school year. And as far as how long that takes, that's something you guys will need to communicate with each other. I will tell you for myself, I have to roll the calendars forward, and that's going to take some time. I'm going to be doing that in the beginning of February. So I know that the technical schools are not going to even start doing anything until the beginning of February. So if you're high school, just be aware that it's not even going to start until then. So communication is so important when it comes to the KTS Data Exchange. Just technical schools, keeping your high schools in the loop of what's happening, what's going on. I'm in the process of setting, first of all, I'm waiting for Tanya Fluke. I'm sure that's a lot. That's something that comes out of your all's mouths a lot, and I apologize for that. I'm waiting on Tanya Fluke to roll my calendar forward. I'm waiting. I'm actually working on setting up my master schedule right now. Once I get those finished, I will forward my master schedule to you. Just keeping your high schools in the loop and letting them know what's going on with the process. High schools asking, you know, if you don't know where the technical schools are in the process, just contact them and ask them. But it's important to, like I said, maintain that line of communication. High schools, make sure you get that final master schedule from your technical school. If they don't provide that to you, reach out to them and ask them for it. And make sure that when they give it to you, it has the 13-digit codes on there for you, because we don't want you guessing. Guessing in the past has led to lots of issues, lots of really bad syncing issues, and we don't want to go through that. We don't want you to go through that. So just make sure that you know what those 13-digit course master codes are, so you're not having to guess. So you will also reference your KTS course setup guide for high schools document. And like I showed you a minute ago, that's on the KTS Data Exchange webpage. On the right-hand side under System Administrator Setup, KTS Course Setup Guide for High Schools. Now I'm going to open yours for just a second because I want to kind of show you what a couple of important things. So your document, I do need to make a couple of updates. Obviously, it's been a couple of years since I updated it, and so I'm going to go through hopefully and start making sure my documents are up to date. But the first page is going to go over the course codes and what the KTS Data Exchange actually is. Then the next one goes into adding new courses. So the first thing that you have to do if you're a high school is you have to connect to the KTS course catalog. And if you don't have the ability to do this yourself, you'll need to get with your district Infinite Campus system administrator, because they're the ones that's going to have to do this for you. Sometimes the KTS, the KSIS or Infinite Campus district administrator will actually change the course master, and they'll pull the courses in for you. You know, every district is a little different, and that's okay. Whatever whatever method you guys decide to use is fine with me, just as long as it's going through this same process. You have to change the course catalog master list in order to pull these courses in properly. You can't do any kind of shortcuts like going to the course master itself or anything like that. Those types of things, taking shortcuts or deviating from the directions, are going to cause you syncing issues. So it's important to make sure you follow these directions accordingly and correctly. Changing this course catalog master. And then once the master's been changed, then you can go to scheduling and add course and select the course that you want to pull in, or the courses that you want to pull in, and follow the directions to do that. So another thing for the high schools to keep in mind is that the 13-digit code that you're pulling in, the 13-digit course master that you're pulling in, remember, that is a unique section from the technical school side. So it's only one section. So you only want to add one section when you pull this course in on your database on the high school side. You do not want to attach more than one section per 13-digit course code. You want to make sure that it only has one section. I'm saying this different ways because it's important. One section per 13-digit course code, because the students that you add to that one section then will sync back to the technical school in the right section. If you have multiple sections attached to that 13-digit course, it's going to confuse the KTS Data Exchange database. It's not going to know what group of students to sync back to the technical school, and you're going to have syncing errors. I've seen it where it doesn't sync at all. It doesn't sync any students at all. I've seen it to where it syncs. It pulls several students from each section, and sends like a mixture of kids back to the technical school. I've seen some really weird stuff when it comes to this. And so it's important. It's not going to give you an error message telling you not to do it. It's going to let you do it, but then you're going to wonder why things aren't syncing right, you know. So just be careful not to do that. One section per 13-digit course. Okay. So you're going to set that one section up, and then once you do that, then you will schedule students into that roster. Then the KTS Data Exchange will sync the roster of students back to them. If you're just setting up the schedule and you don't have students in there yet, that's okay. It's going to sync the actual it's going to sync that information back to the technical school, but it's just not going to have roster students in the roster yet, and that's okay. So the KTS Data Exchange is something that runs 7 days a week, nightly. It starts like around 10 o'clock. I know it says 11 p.m. Eastern. Anywhere between 10 and 11 it starts. And then it runs all night long. So it's a huge transfer of data that runs all night. So if you want something to sync, you need to make sure that it's in there, you know, before 10 o'clock, of course, at night. So the next thing you need to do is to make sure you set up your grading task tab. And it's just like I said earlier with your technical schools. You don't have to set up the grading task tab in order for the actual information to sync. However, if you don't set up your grading tasks by the beginning of the school year, your posted grades are not going to sync to you from the technical school. So that needs to be something that, you know, if you don't do it right now when you're setting things up for scheduling, you need to make a note to do that before school starts. If you're in the high school, setting things up at the high school database, you do not have to set up the grade calc options tab. And this is because you do not have teachers actually in your high school database with a grade book. You don't need a calculator for them. The grades that you're receiving are grades that are already posted and already calculated. They're just syncing into your high school database. So you don't need to worry about adding a calculator or anything like that. So that's one less thing that you have to do on the high school side. If you're updating previous year courses, I would wait. I mean, you can go ahead and roll those forward, but I would wait until your technical school provides you with the master schedule, and then you can go down through your list and delete or make inactive the courses that you're not going to be using for the next school year in your new year calendar. If your technical school decides to not roll forward, if they decide to start from scratch and create a brand new master schedule, then you'll need to use this Purge Tech Center courses tool and follow the directions in order for the high school in order for you to purge previous year courses for the KTS Data Exchange from your new year calendar. But you have to do that. You do it after the high school's new year calendar has been created, but before the technical school courses are set up on the high school side. So it has to be like a certain time frame that it happens. If you don't get it during that time frame, the Purge Tech Center courses tool will not work for you. And if you want those courses purged later, you'll have to submit an Infinite Campus support case requesting that specifically. So just so you know, there is a document under User Resources heading titled Purged Rolled Courses Tool. And this document walks you through, if you're high school, how to how to roll those, or how to purge those rolled courses before your technical school. So ideally, right now would be a good time if you know for sure that your technical school is going to start from scratch, and that comes from communication. If your technical school communicates to you that they're going to not roll their courses forward, they're going to create their master schedule from scratch, then that lets you know that right now, if your high school goes ahead and rolls their calendar forward, do this purged road courses tool before the technical school finishes their part. Because if you wait until after I roll the technical school courses forward, or I create the calendar and I don't roll them forward, if you wait for that, I don't think this tool is going to work for you. Questions about that?
Tanya, this is Randy Bailey, Electric Academy.
Hi.
I just posted a question in the chat window there. I have seen, over the last few days, I've seen a message start popping up that I'm unfamiliar with concerning rolled classes.
Does it have to do with the previous, like the 2021 school year?
Yes.
Yeah. Everybody's getting that from all over the state, and it's a KTS programming issue that I've sent a support case to them to have them look into it as to why this is happening. So as soon as I have an answer, I will send out a mass email to your technical schools, and they'll share that with you. But for right now, just ignore that message. It's not causing any syncing issues for you in your current school year, so you're all good as far as that goes.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that it's definitely a programming thing that they need to figure out why it's happening. And if it's a true issue, then they need to tell me how we need to resolve this, how I need to communicate to you guys to get that resolved. But if it's not affecting your current school year, so you should be good. But thanks for asking. That's a good question.
Thank you.
Okay. So going down, let's see. All right. So that's setting up the courses on the high school side. Questions about setting up the courses on the high school side? There's other documents over here, how to set up your grading tasks. One thing that I do want to go over really quickly that's not on the PowerPoint is grading window. Because grading window is an important part of syncing grades. And I know it's not a part of the schedule prep, but it's something that you need to know, because if you don't have your grading windows set up on both the technical school side and the high school side, you're going to have issues. So under gradings and standards and grading window, regardless of which database you're in, gradings and standards, grading window. So in order for posted grades to sync from the technical school, you've got to have your grading window set up. In order to receive posted grades from the technical school, if you're a high school, you have to have your grading window set up. But there's some caveats that we need to talk about. First is that in order for the grades to sync from the technical school, you can only have one active window open at a time. Now, during the day, if you're a technical school, you can open up as many terms as you want in order to allow your teachers to manipulate their grade books as needed. But before you leave, if you want grades to sync, you need to make sure that you set that schedule for only one active schedule per grading task. Okay, so in this particular case, Boone has theirs set up correctly, because previous grading windows are actually closed. If they're red, they're closed. If they're green, they're open. If they're blue, they're future. So in this particular case, Boone has theirs set up correctly in order to sync third term posted grades between now and March 8th. Okay. They have a future schedule set up to start on March 9th. This future schedule can always be modified. Anything can always be modified. Okay. So here's another thing that you need to know as far as the grading window goes, is there is a bug with the KTS Data Exchange that prevents grades from syncing if you have multiple grade levels selected. So let me show you that. So if you're creating a new schedule, and I'm just going to act like I'm creating one, but I'm not going to actually do it. So I'm hitting edit, and then I'm going to select add. And this is regardless of if you're a technical school or a high school, okay, for either. So I select my terms. So I've got my first, second, third, and fourth steps up here. The first step, I'm selecting my terms. Now I need to select the school. And I've got this little red or a yellow exclamation point telling me I still have something else that I have to do. Oh, I got to select the term. So I'm going to select my term. Now I've got my green check telling me it's okay to proceed. So I'm going to hit next. Now I'm going to select my date range. So let's just say I want it to start today. I can double click in here, or I can go down through here and make manual adjustments. So I want this to open until the 15th. So you see I've got my window expanded there. Next, oh, and I should have my little green check mark up here. Now I can hit next. Let's see, do I have another question? Oh, Lavelle, I'm sorry, I missed your question earlier. The section is already factored in with a 13-digit code, right? Yes, yes, it is. All right, going back over here. Now I have to select my grade levels. This is where the issue is. This is where the bug is. It automatically defaults to all grade levels, and that's what you want to keep it at. If you go in here and you select specific grading levels and you go down through here and start making checks and stuff, this is where the bug is. It looks like you've got things set up correctly, but it's not, the bug is not going to allow the grades to sync for you. So you do not want to ever do that. You want to keep it to where it is. Let me uncheck these because I don't want them. There we go. You want to make sure that it's all grade levels is the only thing that you select with these specific grading tasks. Now, if you're back at the high school and you want to do that with your regular grading task, anything that doesn't have to do with the KTS Data Exchange, that's okay. But anything to do with the KTS Data Exchange are CTE term grade, CTE final grade, CTE final exam, those ones, you only need to select all grade levels. We got my green check ready to hit next. Now this is where I select my grading task that I want this active schedule to start. I'm going to select CTE final grade. Okay, I'm satisfied. I've got my green check. Now I'm ready to save. So now I'm going to go back to my grading window. I'm just going to kind of refresh things and take a look and see what, okay, so now I have an active grading window open for my third term. It's from 112 to 115. Looks like Laura just created another one. But I'm going to delete mine. But this is how, I mean, what I would do here is if I see multiple schedules here that are active, it's not going to allow things to sync. If I see multiple active schedules from grading period to grading period, it's not going to allow a successful sync of data. You can only have one active grading window open at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and delete and remove mine. Laura, do you want to keep this one open for third
Yeah,
term?
that's fine.
Okay. All right. All right. So questions about the grading window. If the grading, like I said, if the grading window is not set up correctly, you're not going to get a successful sync of data. All right. Going back. Okay. I've already gone over all these do nots, but just to make sure I beat the dead horse. Do not create courses from other catalogs or from out of nowhere, or from scratch. Don't do it. Always follow the instructions in your KTS course setup guide to pull the courses in from the catalog. Do not disconnect courses or move them into different catalogs. Disconnecting them from the KTS Data Exchange will stop the syncing of students and data. Don't want to do that. Do not add more than one section per 13-digit course code if you're a high school. Adding more than one section confuses the program and causes errors. Do not forget to set up your grading task for the courses. Just set yourself a reminder in your calendar or whatever to do it. There's a couple of more do nots that do not, like I said, do not have more than one active window schedule for your grading window. So like in this example that I have right here, for the CTE final grade, nothing will sync if there's a posted grade there, unless one of these is made inactive or deleted. Let's see, any more do nots? That's all I can think of for right now. Do not send a master schedule template to your high schools without the 13-digit course codes. Questions about any of that? So here's some scheduling suggestions. High schools need to make sure you remember and keep in communication with your technical schools that we are on a different timeline as far as scheduling goes. You might be already started with your scheduling for your regular high school courses, but we haven't begun yet. So just reach out to your high school or your technical schools and make sure of what their plans are and their timelines are. Also, high schools, keep in mind that our process for scheduling courses is different than what you normally do for, your regular courses. So please don't offer suggestions as far as scheduling goes to the technical schools, because a lot of times those suggestions are going to be incorrect for our purposes. And just don't want to cause any kind of miscommunication or errors when it comes to scheduling. So always, if you have scheduling questions, always reference the KTS Data Exchange webpage or email me.
Tanya, you're muted.
Sorry, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
I don't know what I did. Sorry. So I don't know what you all heard, but communication is important. So you want to make sure that you always keep in communication with each other. Bringing you all together today is a form of communication, so you all can get a game plan together, what's going to happen, what's the timeline for you guys. If you're to the technical school, have you decided to roll your courses forward, or are you going to create them from scratch? You know, just what are you thinking on the technical school side that you want to communicate with your high schools right now? Also, I think that having some type of a meeting, whether it's Teams or in person, whatever, you know, deals with your all's schedules, and also the safety for, you know, exposure to COVID and all that kind of stuff. But creating like a meeting over the summer just to kind of make sure that everybody is in good shape with having everything syncing okay, so the first day of school runs really smooth for you guys. I always suggest that as well. The KTS Data Exchange webpage is a huge resource for you guys. Not only does it have the documentation that, you know, important documentation that you need for setup, but it also has recorded trainings on here. There's a link for my YouTube channel that will take you to past recorded trainings. So if you're a new high school scheduler and you're just learning about the KTS Data Exchange, you can go to my YouTube channel and watch a detailed video for new high school schedulers. If you're a new principal and you've got questions and you just kind of want to make sure you're doing things right, you can watch the new principal training. If you're having issues with your grading window, there is a short video of how to set up your grading window. If you're having grade syncing issues, there's a grade sync troubleshooting video. So just know that information is there for you. I know that, you know, when you're in the moment, you know, and you want to get something resolved, the first thing that, you know, automatically want to do is just email me, and that's okay. You can email me, but I'm literally just one person, and you guys are so many. There's, I mean, the whole state, and so I can only get to you all so fast. So if it's a real, you know, issue, and you can always email me, but always go here too to see if you can't work through what your issue might be, because the answers are going to be here too.
Hey, Tanya.
Yes.
This is Laura Williams from Boone. Can I throw in a suggestion if you don't mind?
Absolutely.
To really help the first of the year bottleneck, I know that the counselors don't work in the summer while the principals at the ATCs do. So if the schedules can already be in Infinite Campus before they leave for the summer, that gives us the summer to kind of work out the kinks. And a lot of times we can get the kinks worked out before the last day of school the previous year. And that allows us to play in that sandbox, because, you know, you create that second IC window for us.
Yes.
Yes. And that has been invaluable. I mean, I know the counselors in our district have everybody enrolled at the ATC before school lets out, and that allows me all summer to do what I got to do. And our first day of school is like smooth.
Yeah, great suggestion, Laura. Yeah. So, you know, coming up with a good timeline, I used to give you all like a little timeline to have your master schedules in there, but I'm not dictating that. Every district, every technical school has different things going on. You guys know when you need to get things done. So, but the suggestion that Laura gave as to making sure that you have your new calendar master schedule in there before school ends to allow well, actually, if you're the technical school, you'd have it in there in plenty of time to allow your high schools to do what they need to do before school ends. So this allows you guys over the summer, if you're both the technical school and the high school side, to tweak things and make sure things are where they need to be, so your first day of school runs smoothly. So maybe you want to set up a meeting between you guys towards the end of the school year, before you all actually the high school counselors leave for the summer, just to make sure that everything is where it needs to be. So that might be a good suggestion as well. Thank you for that, Laura. There's also, for high schools, you can use the schedule wizard, but you have to create dummy courses. There's some actual work that you have to put into it. You have to use dummy courses for the schedule wizard. You do not use the 13-digit codes in the process of using your schedule wizard. So, but once the dummy courses have populated everything in the schedule wizard, then you can use the roster copy feature to sync student rosters to the actual 13-digit course codes. So if you want more information about the schedule wizard, you know, just let me know and I can go into more detail of that. I know it can work, but there takes a little bit of extra work as far as that goes. So what is the timeline? This is the old timeline that I had in here. Obviously, I'm just going to kind of don't go by this, but don't look at the dates. But what I'm going to be doing right now is I sent out the email to the technical school principals with the calendar and scheduling setup form that I need for them to fill out and send back to me no later than February 15th. Okay. Then what I'll do is I will create the new year calendars in our technical school database. And once I do that, I will send that email to you. Look for them sometime towards the end of February. I will send an email to the technical school principals with the information of how to get to your new year calendar. And then once I've sent that information to you, it is up to you as the technical school to go ahead and get to work and start working on your master schedule. Keeping in communication with your high schools, referencing the 22-23 program areas document, you know, all of that, you got to make sure during this process that you're in constant communication with each other, possibly setting up those meetings with each other so you make sure you all are on the same page, having your master schedules finished before school ends, whatever you all sit down and discuss with each other. Then over the summer, you know, just tweaking things and making sure everything is finalized and set up correctly so you can start the new year off without a hitch. Questions about any of this?